continue calling me.
Who the fuck's calling you?
Jeff. Who else calls me? I don't get any phone calls ever. It's always going to be Jeff.
Every guest that comes on here says the same thing.
Yeah, of
to
course.
start the episode.
It's insane. It's insane because you know what's funny too is that I've been in a because we went to Tennessee. We had a great time. I swear to God, by the way, if you get the opportunity, fucking go.
Jeff Greenspan in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Jeff Greenspan, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Right.
The formerly known as the Brooklyn Jeff Greenspan, not to be confused with the Jeff Lawrence, the other gay Jew that runs comedy around here. This is the new Jeff Lawrence, the new gay Jew of Tennessee, the only gay Jew possibly.
That's the thing. I thought he was the only gay guy in Tennessee. I thought one gay guy was moving out, and they were like, "We need another one."
Yeah.
And just like you need a Jew, and they're like, "We didn't."
It's like a grinder for housing, you know. There's an open slot, you know.
Also, Jeff loves to say he's Brooklyn Jeff. He's from Plainview. Like, let's just call it what it is.
And can I tell you what disheartened me? I'm glad we started off shitting on Jeff because this is exactly how probably how I start every conversation. But it's but the truth of the matter is, he actually had a Long Island accent, and that fucker went to speech class to get rid of it.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Are you fucking with me?
Yeah, I swear
had
to
no
God.
idea. When did he do this?
I don't know. I probably shouldn't be telling people, but I am.
Too late.
Exactly.
It's fucking out.
Because he moved to New York, and he probably sounded like me, and he goes, I can't have people thinking I'm from I'm from where I am, from Plainview. I don't want people to think that I work for the sanitation department in fucking advertising. So he went to speech class. He says it was for radio, but yeah, okay. Well,
For radio?
That's what he claims.
He never had a job in radio.
He said he did. He worked as a writer, and that's what made him like move the ranks to go into advertising because you do copywriting and radio. Which I worked in radio to a degree. That's true.
Okay,
but that was back in the day. I mean,
I'll take your word for it. I don't know anything about the
took his
radio
word for
industry.
it.
How fucking old is he? He's like, yeah, for radio. What year is this, Jeff?
Writing for radio, by the way.
Writing for radio.
Writing.
Shit, on what? Papyrus?
Yeah, exactly.
What were you writing for radio on?
Exactly. Honestly, that's how they used to do it. Old Stern, they used to have Jackie Martling write on paper and hand jokes off to Stern during the show. No way. That's how they used to do it. And now the way that they do it is kind of like how, when you have like a multi-screen and then people can click on the other things that are throughout the screen, they have this other guy, Benji, and what he does is he types it up while Stern can see it through his monitor, and that's how he writes like certain lines. Like you just don't ever know. Or angles on a bit of like something they're doing.
Am I the only one that didn't know Stern had writers?
You didn't know that,
I
huh?
had no idea.
Oh, yeah. Jackie Martling used to be a writer for the whole show. And this was so funny. I sent this to my mom because she was a big Stern fan. Like, she just listened to him. Oh, yeah. Huge. Oh, yeah. Fuck you.
If someone from your family's a fucking Stern fan?
I know. And I'm Opie and Anthony, so I was the black sheep of the family. They're like, oh, this scumbag.
This fucking liberal.
Yeah, exactly. But fucking, it was, yeah. So I would just watch Jackie. I don't know how much you know Stern. Probably not that well.
I've been getting into it.
Yeah, dude, it's really enjoyable.
It's nice. It's nice.
It is.
It's nice.
And it's old, and I like the old school ball. That's always been my favorite, just like creating, like the way that he would just brutalize people. But regardless, they were talking about how back in the day when he used to write for him, and the worst part is that like if they were decided to pick on Jackie had to write insults for Stern for himself to give towards himself, which is such a beautiful comedic moment in life where you're just so committed to the gig that like, well, he doesn't know about this about me, and I'm about to give it to you.
No one knows you better than you.
Exactly.
It had to be the easiest writing job ever.
I would say so.
I mean, except for Fallon.
Except for yeah, well, of course. I mean, they let fucking the interns write for Fallon.
No comments. I'm not gonna say any names. It's what it is.
You brought it up.
You brought it up. If you want to go see a Fallon writer perform, go to any park in Brooklyn. You fucking find them.
Wow, I'm waiting to be that entertained. I wish I would love to see a Fallon something come up. Nowadays, it's just, dude, it's chaotic, man. It's sorry, you brought it up.
Wait, you talking about park shows?
Park shows are rough.
Yeah, because you're doing a lot of park shows.
I'm doing a lot.
First off, this is Nick Tilleli on the pod. Hell no, we did. We just went into it with Greenspan. That's how it usually goes.
It's a hard open.
Hard open. So you're doing park shows. You're doing a lot of park shows.
Let me tell you something. The majority of them, I won't lie, they are pretty fun. It's a good time because you got to think like this. Now people who are going to comedy outside and throughout this whole thing, you have to be legitimately dedicated to listen and want to be involved and not. Because it's not like how it was before where people are just passing by with a girl and they're like, oh, shit, the New York Comedy Club, let's just go inside.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck is this? It's like you're here, you're dedicated to what it is. But at that same token, you're also competing with the juggler who's a little bummed out because he's been there since 72, and he's like, fuck this shit, and he's yelling at you, which is it depends. It really does depend. But lately, I've been seeing a lot of guys who do produce the good park shows. They've been decently fun. I won't deny that. I can't say it's not.
First off, how many people are there, and what is the mental health going on at these shows?
All right. Well, it's the mics that lack mental health.
Well, we talked about that a few times on this pod.
I'm sure. But I'm part of it. I'm there too, so I can't deny myself that part.
Oh, right. I didn't say you're normal.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I just want that.
I want to clarify for them.
You clarify for them.
No, but yeah.
Yeah, well, people could hear you, Nick.
Yeah, fair enough.
Don't worry about it. They see that you did your hair for this pod.
Well, I really did.
You just worked a full shift, and your hair has not been touched at all.
I even left in a room a little early that I was cleaning. I'm like, I gotta dress up. I got the big pod today. And everyone's just like, well, who's? I'm like, Rich Happel. I never heard of him, and I was just like, you will someday.
Someday. After you hear about me.
But so yeah, honestly, it varies. Like last night is a good example. Without being specific as who, but there was just like, comedy draws. Everyone's a cheese now. Remember when you used to be like, there used to be once in a while there's a cheese?
We have to explain who cheese is. We've never talked about cheese on this pod.
Oh, okay. So I feel honored to be the first one to bring him up.
Yeah. Would you like to describe cheese?
Cheese is what he used to do, and he was just a great guy. I always got along with Cheese.
Very nice guy. He booked me on a few shows.
Did he really?
Yeah.
You told me about this.
Yeah.
He has a wife and a kid too, right?
He has a physician wife. She's like the head of pediatrics at New York, NYU. Langone. Really? Yeah, I swear to God.
I might have.
And a kid.
And a kid?
Yeah, and he calls the kid a Jew because she's a Jew. So he calls the kid a Jew. Very odd.
Well, he's obviously a little mentally unstable to a degree because, and this is how you know, just based on what he dresses on stage, like he wears a Kaepernick jersey, a red Kaepernick jersey,
yeah,
and a smiley face tie, long, like hippie-like hair,
yep,
sweating all the time.
Always.
And balding long hair. And he goes by Cheese.
Yep.
And do I really have to go into his act? I think people get a good picture.
I think people are getting what's going on here.
I think they understand.
Could you tell if I said, "Oh yeah, do one of Cheese's bits"? I couldn't do one.
I couldn't. Maybe there's no. And honestly, the ones that I could think of were just racist. I don't even know if I want to repeat.
Yeah, he said the N-word a decent amount.
Decent amount.
Yeah.
Which
honestly,
one good quality. The guy had balls.
He landed. He landed with me. He got me.
You know what? Because you look at a guy like that. I mean, all right. So anyway, my point being, before I go off on Cheese, that is the majority of people who show up. And then also, but don't get me wrong, there's people who are like, yo, I don't give a fuck. I came here for comedy. It's fun. I want to have fun. And let's do this. And then when you have like a good group of that, it's great. It's a great time.
Right, of course.
So I can't deny a lot of people are like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, I just want to do comedy out in New York, so I'm just going to go do it in the subway platform, regardless of how crazy that is or not.
No names included. And there's also independent producers and comedy clubs doing that, as we've said here also.
Yeah. So that's been the majority of comedy as of now. But you know what, man? Some of it's like, I almost respect the downness of like everybody just like, yeah, I'm fucking down. Let's just do this. Like when they were doing the park mic out in Washington Square, that was a lot of fun. People were just totally in, and I've actually seen people grow from the park mic, believe it or not. Like some people were just new comics for 6 months, and they were like, some people moved to New York a month before COVID to do comedy, and then were like, what am I going to do now?
You got to do it then. Those people, you have to do it.
Those people, you have to do it.
Oh, isn't that mic also at noon? At Washington Square Park?
3 p.m. 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Every
late
day.
for those guys.
Late. It is. Yeah. Tell me about it. But I mean, and that's nothing too. I would just get there and everyone's like, how are you not here on time? I have a job. I'm like, most of you sorry to bum you out.
But people are shocked that they're like, you have a job?
Oh, no, I get that. I know. Everyone's like killing it on unemployment. I'm like, not everybody. And they're making more money than me. I'm fucking working at a hospital. I'm thinking, oh, man, I must be caking in. Let me tell you how, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but we all got hazard pay.
You let's also tell the people what you do for work. You clean the operating rooms at.
All right, maybe we don't have to say the specific hospital.
Censor.
Let's do it. One of those, and but yeah, I work at that hospital, and they gave us a hazard pay, which was supposed to be $2,000, but they taxed us, and they only gave us $1,000 out of it.
Isn't that's too much tax?
Too much tax, and also it's even better if you miss within 5 days of work in the span of those 4 months of the first months of COVID, you weren't qualified for this.
No shit.
Yeah. So all these people whose lives turned upside down, they didn't have school to send their children, had to get babysitters, all this stuff. None of them were qualified to get.
That is insane.
Wild, right?
Let me tell you what someone on Long Island would tell you. I wish you got a job.
Well, you know what? That's what I was telling myself the whole time. I'm like, I want to cause an uproar, but I'm like, at least I'm fucking working, bro.
You know, some people don't have work, and you don't thank God.
Hey,
thank God.
Every morning I go, God bless. I go, God bless. Okay, I'm fucking union. I'm protected.
That's right. You are union.
I am union.
That's right.
I am.
First person in your family to be union?
Yes, actually. Believe it or not.
Big. I don't believe it. That's
I know.
Believe it or not, I don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
I don't.
Well, believe it, my friend.
All right, good for you.
You know, it kind of maybe is a signal of what my family is like, where no one even could get union job, you know?
Union for your family was like,
it was
wow.
Like, I ain't passing the drug test, you know? That was their mentality. Actually, no, my cousin is in the carpenters union. That's a lot.
Oh, that's a good union.
It's a great
union. I mean, it's not elevator mechanic union, but carpenter union.
It's so funny.
Good union.
That. My best friend is in the elevator mechanic union, too.
That is the top white trash.
It is, right?
Yeah, that's what you strive for.
Yeah, because
they're mechanic.
And it's funny too because he likes to try to make it like making an upscale job. Like it ain't that bad. Like the people there, they're only missing thumbs and fingers. It's not like you're missing a leg like Carpenters Union. I'm like, is that a thing?
I don't think that's a thing.
Because people, what happens is when they're on the scaffolding or they're moving, like, you know, all those big piles of wood or trying to whatever, people fall, the stuff falls down on them, and it's always a severed limb.
Are we talking carpenters? We're talking elevator
Carpenters
mechanics.
Union. Oh, also elevator mechanic union too. People have been getting caught up in the traps. They said that one guy, my friend was specific to his name, but I don't remember what it was. But he was working on the elevator shaft, and there's the pulley that brings the elevator up, obviously. Right. And his hand got caught in it, and then he got caught in it, and the guy passed away. But he goes that when they went to go find him, they knew where he was because they heard his boot hitting the top of the shaft over and over again because he was still spinning for an hour before they got him. Wild. Just Timberland marks everywhere. Or maybe, you know.
Oh, black guy.
What?
Black guy.
No. I don't know. Black guy.
So I get, fuck. What's the app that tells you about the crimes around you?
Oh. I don't know.
Nah, I was going to say a joke. It's over.
It's okay.
It's over.
Damn, see, you should have done some park shows. Old Rich would have had that one in the bag ready to go.
That's right.
I would have been laughing by the time that joke came out.
Let me tell you something. I've been doing a couple Zoom events.
Oh.
And I'm doing them with these park comics. Let me tell you something. I don't see improvement. I do not see improvement whatsoever.
Dude, but I'm going to tell you, I did a virtual show. Those are fucking rough, man.
I did the governor's thing last weekend.
How'd that
2
go?
weekends
We never
ago.
got to talk about it.
Fucking... Dude, first off, I mean, I brought it up last episode, but because you're a governor, you're a Long Island guy.
Yeah.
You're a Farmingdale guy. You do governors.
Yep.
I went to the club for the show. There were people hanging out trying to get onto the Zoom show.
Yeah.
How governors is that?
That's hilarious.
So governors.
It was funny too because when they were closed down because of COVID and they wanted to have like a rally. And so
not the only rally they want.
I know. Not for Black Lives Matter, not for the fucking heroes. It was literally just to open back up comedy clubs. And if you look in the background, it's every comic who waits to get a spot as if they thought they were going to get a chance to get on News 12. Puppet acts, people they brought their guitars. So I know they wanted to have a set in there. I swear to God, because they knew they were going to get News 12.
Right. They saw a microphone and they said, "Can I get 5?"
Exactly.
Can I get 5?
Exactly. They all rallied around Anthony Rodia like, hey, let him open.
Oh, my God. If Mike comes out of his room, his brothers fucking love Anthony Rodia.
Yeah.
Italians fucking love him.
They do.
Your family big Anthony Rodia fans?
You know, it's funny. Because I work governors, like this, you know, the small amount I would. They never hit me up about going to my show. When Anthony Rodia, phone rang off the hook, asking me, like, can you get me seats? Can you get me blah blah blah? And I was just like, no, like, I don't know what kind of pull you think this industry works. Like, I got a family that wants to see Rodeo. What do you say, James? You know, none of that. So, but no one hit me up to see me shit. But what? I mean,
well, fair, but
I get it.
Listen, I will say this: you're better than Anthony Rodeo.
Oh, dude, thanks.
Yeah, man,
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a compliment.
You know what?
You can take it as you
Bro,
want.
it's been a rough year. I needed that. All right. But yeah, so you know, I'll tell you what though, I don't know what's gonna come back after that too, because I know they took a big hit and they have they have 2 other clubs too.
Right.
So I don't even know. I mean, if it's just gonna be the one main club in Levittown, I don't have no idea what's gonna come back after that. I can't even speculate.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be upset.
yeah.
You
You didn't explain to me. So what happened when you got there and you did the show?
First off, again, sorry for people that listened last episode, but Nick has to know this.
I do.
I walked in, the owner's there with 2 of his buddies smoking cigars in the lobby, watching Goodfellas with no volume on.
Because they were citing it for themselves. They all picked a character.
Right. I thought they had scripts out and they're like, all right, and this is 2-time Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, just sad. It was just really sad.
They were smoking indoors too.
Smoking indoors, and one of the guys said, "You want to fucking shut me down? Shut me down." As if like everyone in there was a federal officer and we had the power.
It's so funny too, because you want to shut me down? Shut me down is the last thing I heard 6 months ago when I was there for a patio show over there too. He was having that same conversation with it. That's the thing with like most people over there, and I'm not even saying just governor, like just Long Island in general. It's the repetitiveness of conversation. It's a copy and paste combo. They say it to everybody, and then they pick a new thing and then say that thing to everybody as well. And it's just a continuous of the same conversation over and over again. That was one thing. It's like would start to become a little maddening when I would like go back and visit friends and shit. And
go back and visit friends.
Yeah, I like to see my friends every now and then.
Where, in Farmingdale?
In Farmingdale,
yeah, okay,
yeah.
you took a 35-minute car ride?
I know.
I mean, it sounded like you were going to
Dude, it's like a world away from over here, though, when you really think about it.
I mean, with traffic on the southern state, it might as well be an hour and a half.
I didn't think they'll double R, so...
Ooh, kids making money. Probably a peak train, too. $14.
I know. Fucking, but yeah, dude, I don't know. I always, you know, like growing up, it was always, you know, it was what it was. But like now, I just feel like, you ever feel, and this is for everybody. I feel like it's like people are just going through a weird, just of the motions of like, all right, well now I'm at this age. Before when my friend told me he married his wife, I was just like, oh, congrats. And it wasn't, I love her. It was, yeah, we're both getting at that age. I'm like, that's it?
And that's most people.
I know. It's kind of scary. You know, I'm not going to say I haven't figured it out, but it's like, at least I'm not, you know, looking at my, you know, time chart. I'm like, well, I'm 27. I guess I got to find a wife.
It's time to do that.
Yeah.
Is Farmingdale like that?
A few people, yeah. I would say the majority. Like, I'm sure it's in most small towns, too, where, like, I don't know, you grow up in that kind of atmosphere. And then I even watched some of my friends start to behave as if their parents, like we were watching some game, and then like everybody was just like, all right, let's get ready for dessert. I'm like, what do you mean dessert? Yeah, get some coffee out for everybody. I'm like, since when did you guys treating this like Thanksgiving at my aunt's house?
Yeah,
it was weird.
Because that's just it's monkey see, monkey do. You grew up that way, and that's how thing. Like my family, we have dinner. First of all, we have dinner at like noon on a Sunday. Dessert goes out at 1:30 because
everyone's got work at 4
We
a.m.
just
tomorrow.
ate.
I know.
Like, why do we need dessert? It's just
what we do.
It's what you do.
And you're not. And it's funny because you're not from like an Italian household.
No.
So that used to be a very Italian thing, like a long time ago. I never really partook in like Sunday dinners or shit like that. I was lucky enough for my parents to be divorced, so I don't have to deal with any of that Italian bullshit. You know.
Is your mom Italian?
My mom's Irish, 100%.
I was gonna say you give big half Italian, half Irish vibes.
Yeah,
big time.
I believe that.
Yeah, but then you're.
My dad's 100% Italian, and my mom's 100% Irish. Irish German, I think, but they're just Irish.
She's a fucking white kid.
She's a white kid.
Queens?
No, actually, my grandfather, her father, they grew up in the Bronx.
Oh,
yeah, old days.
Yeah, that's old school.
Yeah,
that's okay.
And the big joke is like, yeah, looks like it's black Irish now. Got him.
All right, there we go.
I know, exactly.
All right. Merry Christmas, Pops.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you also grew up, and I don't know how true it is. I don't know if you do it for the bit, your uncle and aunts lived in the house?
Well, just my uncle actually. He was he moved into the house after it was just me, my mom, and my grandfather. Me and my mom would share a room. My grandfather passed away, and so my mom went to that room. And
there we go.
Yeah,
freed up a room.
I know, thank God.
Thanks, pops.
Yeah, that lasted about 6 months, and then my mom moved my uncle in, and so then I had to go back to sharing a room with my mom till I was 16. My aunt never lived with us. She would always hang out with my mom, and they would drink, and she would sleep over.
She was like an outdoor cat.
Yeah, yeah.
She just came in and came out.
You know what's funny? She moved into that building now, so now she's upstairs. And as soon as I moved out, my mom moved my uncle back in, and he rents out my room. And then my gay aunt now lives two floors up, and now they're all just one happy.
Gay aunt and gay uncle?
Yeah, he's gay and she's gay.
Related?
Yeah, no. So my dad's. I know. Everyone was just like, all right, is he gonna be gay? Is he gonna be gay? We got one over there, one over here. What's gonna happen? But yeah, she. Yeah, the big. The big joke over there was Uncle Sophie and Aunt Richie is how we referred to them because they were gay.
That's fun.
That's fun.
That's good family humor. That's how you used to make fun of your gay family members. Now you can't do it.
No, you can't. You can't. It's true. I don't even think they say that anymore. I feel like I can't even say that to them, and we've known each other like that for years. But yeah, that's now the dynamic. But before it was just like that. But yeah, it sucked, dude. It was the worst.
And because I think I know what area of Farmingdale you live. You live right by Friendly's and the Rav.
Right there.
Rav Automobile.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not that trashy.
No.
It's decent.
It's decent.
Friendly's is an odd. It's like the Kohl's of food.
Yeah. Yes. It is the Kohl's of food.
Because it's not the lowest. It's not poverty.
No.
But you didn't do well.
No, it didn't do well. It's out of business now. So
Friendly's is out of business?
That Friendly's over there is out of business. Another one in Massapequa. But this is what I'll say to you. It wasn't that area until you got to Heiser Park, Allen Park over there.
Allen Park, okay.
And that's where I started hanging out by the handball courts over there. And that's where I started smoking weed, cigarettes, and doing whatever. But even then, it was just white trash kids who wanted to be black. That's who congregated over there,
The thing with handball courts, Nick, very little handballs played.
Very little. I never played it once.
Very little. A lot of needles and a lot of roaches on the ground on handball courts.
There's this guy, his name is Leighton, and he was about 26. I was 14, and he was already in and out of jail. And
I didn't think he was an accountant.
No. He didn't even have a job back then, too. He still lived at home, and I think he was still never graduated high school. I think that was kind of implied.
Possible.
But he had cuts going all the way up his arm. They were just straight cuts like that, and it was because he
was a cutter.
He would just say, I'll tell you, man, you guys gotta be careful of blow. I just did blow one night. I don't know. I just cut my arm. I just felt it. I just needed to feel it. And we're like 14 years old, and I feel like they were like my friends around me they were the same age. They were almost just like, oh yeah, like trying to be cool about it. I was the only one that says like, what? Who the fuck are we? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? Part of me, thank God for that little small part of me, because I probably would still be hanging out around there to this day. But there was always a small part of me who's like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, who do I think I am? And like at that year, I was just like, I need to get into something else. I don't know what. I wasn't into sports. I was like, I don't like taking orders from people. And
that's such a weird way. That says so much about your psyche, where you're like, I don't want to play sports because I don't want to listen to people.
I loved football, but I hated people telling me when I should be playing it. You know what I mean? I was always that kid. I was decently good, but I remember I was like, I don't want to wake up on a Saturday morning and start fucking around. Like I want to sleep in.
I can see that. I can see that.
Even when I used to be on the bench. And they'd be like, all right, Tilleli, you're going in. And I would legitimately be pissed. I would like throw my helmet like, I'm trying to fucking eat an orange slice over here. Can I just chill out? I never really, but I tried wrestling. And only because, listen to this.
Okay.
I tried wrestling because my mom would just for some reason wanted to treat our 2-bedroom apartment as a single mother, as a halfway house. So she took in a coworker of hers who lost her house in Sandy and her son. So now I have my gay uncle, my mom's coworker, her son,
Okay.
me, my mom. My mom gave her my bed, which was in our room, and so her friend Susan got that bed. My mom got her bed. Anthony, her son, got the couch, and then my mom's like, let Anthony have the couch. You take the love seat. I slept on a love seat for 4 months. Yeah.
First of all, let me say something. A lot more furniture than I thought you had in this apartment. This was a nice fucking setup.
It was pretty decent apartment.
Pretty nice. How old's Anthony?
Anthony was 16 at the time.
Now get up off the couch, bud.
Yeah, my whole mentality was like, you're the older guy. You sleep in the love seat because, first of all, it's my fucking house.
To start,
to just begin, my mom was always, we got to lay down for other people. I don't know where that mentality, definitely didn't grow on me. I'll tell you that.
And she got divorced?
Well, yeah, exactly. You know what? It's so fucking true. I never really thought of it like that. Yeah. It's for everybody else in the world except my dad. That's how much my dad sucked, by the way, where my mom was willing to give it up for coworkers, everyone else, but not even her own husband. Which is, I'll tell you, which I think is the reason why they started fighting a lot was because she was have that mentality. My dad's like, I'm not doing that shit. But, yeah, and I'll tell you this, when my uncle moved in with us, I remember I used to fight my mom, like, what? Like, my other relatives, they have houses, they have, basements. They have
more square footage.
More square footage. It's a 2-bedroom apartment between me and my mother. And by the way, at the age where you're supposed to, like, have your little bit of freedom and find out who you are.
You had the handball court.
That was all on her fault. She couldn't say it. I'm like, why am I smoking? I'm like, why are we sharing a room?
I can't afford the razors. I could be fucking
I'm fucking stressed out over here. But yeah, but her mentality, and I swear to God, she says to me, and she goes, because everyone else is married and I don't want to make an inconvenience for them. I was like, you're a single parent. What about like us? And she's like, I never, because I said later on, she's like, I never really thought of it like that. I was like, all right.
And how did gay aunt
get
away with living upstairs? Solo dolo.
So it wasn't until later on. It was actually 2 years ago. She moved away. Okay. But this is what's interesting. My gay aunt is my dad's sister, who's best friends with my mom.
All right, I'm gonna need a whiteboard.
I know.
So your gay aunt is best friends with your mom. Gay aunt introduced mom to dad?
No, everyone went to school together. Everyone grew up and hung out together. It was like because
all Bronx kids.
No. My grandfather lived in the Bronx. My mom's father lived in the Bronx.
Okay.
My dad's father. He lived in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Okay, and that's the Italian side. All lived in Brooklyn. The Irish lived in the Bronx.
Okay.
All right. So they moved to Long Island.
Okay.
All right, and they all happened to settle in Farmingdale, and then they had their kids in Farmingdale.
Okay.
And my mom lost her mom when she was 4 years old. They had 7 kids already. So now it's my grandfather raising 7 kids.
What is this? The Oregon Trail?
I know.
Who killed them? The Apaches?
I know. It's a wild bunch. So fucking 5 girls, 2 sons, but one of them was also, this is where it gets another confusing, is my mom has a stepbrother and stepsister that her mother had from a previous marriage.
Dead mom. Previous marriage.
Dead mom's previous marriage.
Did dad take care of?
Yes.
Oh my god.
But at that time
46 kids.
Exactly. And at that time those kids were like 19, 20 age, so that they were just moving out.
Okay.
And then you have my Uncle Richie, the gay Uncle Richie, and then then they had twins, and then my Aunt Ellen, my mom, and then the twins on top of Richie, the 2 stepkids. Right?
Okay. Was Richie one of the stepkids?
No, Richie wasn't one of the stepkids. That's all, whatever.
Okay.
And then my dad's side, 7 brothers and sisters, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And then, everyone went to Farmingdale High School. My mom hung out with my dad's sisters, who were also Aunt Sophie, gay Aunt Sophie. Accelerated, moved to the next grade because she's so intelligent.
She was so gay.
She wasn't distracted by boys, so she was able to elevate.
She got a wrestling scholarship to high school.
So that's how everyone just hung out with each other. And my mom and dad dated since high school. Blah 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 blah. And what happened was my aunt didn't come out at the time, moved to Florida, and then got married, got divorced. and then came out when she moved to Florida. And my grandmother's like, Florida water made you gay. That's what she told her. It was the water in Florida that made you gay. I swear to God.
It wasn't that bull haircut in your shoulders.
I know.
It was the water.
But so anyway, so my mom and her were friends the whole time, and so whenever they were having problems with my dad, my mom, I think my aunt wasn't a big fan of my dad at the time, so whatever. But they, my mom was like, I don't care if you got a divorce. I'm still hanging out with her, Barbara. I love Barbara. I'm hanging out with her, So that was the whole thing.
So where's your dad living this whole time?
He lived in Farmingdale for a while, and no, he lived in Long Island, lived in like Bethpage, and then he was like doing odd job to odd job.
Bethpage, not bad.
Not bad. It was a basement apartment.
Getting some lead poisoning from that Grumman water.
My family worked for Grumman too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they worked for Grumman.
There we go,
dude. I'm as long as Long Island as it gets, bro. It's just the reality.
That's why that hair doesn't have any product in it. You were born with gasoline in your blood, and it fucking
exactly. It shrunk the whole family. None of us are above 5 feet. But
well, that's the Italian in you.
That's fair too. But yeah. So and then that was like the lifestyle growing up. But I was always closer with. Because of the divorce, I just always spend more time with my mom's side of the family, and I just happened to be more closer with them. And also, all my dad's brothers and sisters, their kids were already like 17 when I was like 4. It's just like, you know what I mean? The only one closest to my age was still like 3 years older than me, and he went to Catholic school, so we weren't even like the same
Holy Trinity kid?
Holy Trinity.
I had a feeling. Yep. Let me tell you something. Something about your family. You're not a shamanon family. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not fucking wrong. But yeah, that was life growing up. God.
How often did you go to friendlies? I think that's a big estimate of trash, is how often you went to friendlies.
We never fucked with friendlies. Believe it or not, what we would do is our spot was the Burger King on 110.
Jesus Christ.
But only because the Getty station on 110 would sell us beer underage. So our whole goal was the way that it, like, if you want to go behind Heiser and like behind 109, if you walk through the trails over there, it leads you out to Carmen's Road eventually.
Okay.
And so if you follow that all the way through, so what we do is we'd have all kids just meet up from separate blocks, and we'd all meet up at one place behind the high school, and we'd all gather our shit, and we'd take our time getting all the way to the Burger King and the Getty, just so we can get beer and cigarettes for the night. So our whole weekend just formed around walking all the way down to Carmen's Road to pick up beer.
Right, that's the Farmingdale Bitcoin, is beer and cigarettes.
Beers and cigarettes,
yeah,
bro.
That is the growth there has been fantastic.
I know. That's honestly, most of the time when I looked forward to as a kid was legitimately just getting a cigarette with my friends. Weirdly, that was how I was like, I was union before my time,
You're union in your blood.
I know. And so it was funny thinking about that, because that really did just shape my reality. It was just like, all right, we're all going to get lunch money for the week. None of us will spend it. We'll starve, and then we'll just spend our money on beer and cigarettes, and that was it.
But what happens, you're at home, you and your mom and Uncle Susan.
Uncle Richie, Aunt Richie.
Sure. You're going out to eat. Where are we going out?
Going out to eat?
Yeah.
We never went out to eat.
Yeah.
Never went out to eat.
If something tells me you're a big crock pot family.
No, I hated the crock pot. I hated boiled shit.
But that's trash. Boiled shit's trash.
I agree. I never liked it. They always my mom liked corned beef and all that. I hated it.
Yeah, she's a fucking Irish kid.
I know. It was so
Mom
gross,
died
though.
at 4 from fucking...
I know, from meat sitting,
Yeah.
But undigested meat from the fucking Pat's Farms. But Pat's Farms, by the way, that's a Farmingdale reference. But guys, it's a very Long Island podcast. I wasn't expecting that.
It gets the most views for some reason.
Really?
Kyle Mara. Okay. He's okay. He's not the funniest guy in the world.
Wow.
Great views.
Great views. Oh, good. I'm glad. I hope I beat Kyle, though, just by a smidgen. You know what I mean? Because he's a guy that likes to hold little things.
Oh, he likes
to
hold it to you. Yeah.
I know.
He's a big trash bag, too.
Where'd he grow up?
Rockville Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, trash.
Not as much.
Yeah, you guys are South Shore kids. Farmingdale's fucking wild. It's South Shore.
You're not that much better yourself, all right, pal?
No.
I've said this before, but
I'm not much better. Where I grew up is better.
Yeah, fair.
But I'm not much better.
But even those kids were always just fucking losers to me. Like, I never hung out with those. There was always an air of pompous to them.
To who, RVC kids?
RVC kids, yes. And you grew up in the North Shore, right?
Yes, I asked it.
Yes, I asked. Yeah, though most of those kids I dealt with, they were always just they were just obnoxious, loud, you know.
Well, yeah, because we look down on you. Your opinion
exactly.
doesn't matter, Nick, because you're hanging out with Cut Steve at
But
the handball courts.
This would always made me laugh is because everywhere, everybody just looks at you as Long Island everywhere else. There was no difference in between. And even if there was, it was just the fact that your mom got you a Mercedes and my mom,
oh my God, you're lucky if you had a bike.
Oh, dude. My first car was a 2001 Nissan.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
I thought you were going to say your first car was a unicycle because you couldn't afford 2 wheels. I thought you were going to go with.
But yeah.
How often were you interacting with North Shore kids from Farmingdale? You didn't even play sports. How would you interact with North Shore kids?
Because my cousin would date a girl from, I think it might have been Chaminade.
Dated a girl from Chaminade?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It's an all-boys school.
Not Sham. Then it's not
St.
Holy
Anthony's.
Trinity. St. Anthony's.
St. Anthony's.
St. Anthony's.
Yeah.
And we would go to parties over there.
Yeah.
And everyone, as soon as we walked in, everyone was like, "Who the fuck are these kids?" But those girls liked us way more. They were way more into us than they were those guys because we just had like this edge to us. But most of us were just pussies.
Exactly.
It was the perception of edge that made them come towards. We were the greases to your guys' socias. Put it that way.
Yeah, the thing with I was at those parties where you guys would come over, and I didn't really fit in with anyone. But you knew you were Farmingdale kids because you would show up to a North Shore party in skateboard shoes, and we'd say, "Listen, bud, you're gonna have to get some fucking arch support." Because those shoes are ridiculous.
You guys wore fucking Reeboks from like the 80s that looked like shit. Like nobody liked your style with what was it?
I didn't have style.
Yeah, of course. You were a fat kid, by the way. You had blown out shoes. Don't fucking make fun of mine. You could have used a pair of DCs, honestly.
I could. Oh my God, I have flat feet. I could have definitely used them. I needed a little help there. No, I used to rock Affliction shirts junior, senior year. Oh yeah.
I don't even know what Affliction shirt is.
Oh yeah, it was those MMA shirts with them.
Oh dude,
yeah. That's what I rock. Double X, baby.
I always wore it was either black, blue, white, or gray shirt with jeans and white shoes. That's all I ever wore. I never really had any style. Not like I'm.
Well,
fucking,
you're doing pretty well now. It fits well at least.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Everything, like I said, everything was either a hand-me-down or I just bought extra big because I was going through a gangster phase. But
I saw the pictures.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
I really had an idea of myself, and you know what? I give my mom credit for just letting me express myself. Anything to grow into the person I am today, I guess.
Well, on paper you were gay, so she was like, "Listen, we're looking good here."
Listen, let him say bitches and hoes. It's closer than
Right, I didn't think he'd go that far.
But yeah, I don't know. Fucking Long Island. Who gives a shit? Boring ass town. It's funny going back, and like when you're I'm sure you feel the same way. Even like separating yourself and just going back, and you kind of feel bad for the kids that are still there. You know what I mean?
No. Because everyone in Syosset is going to do better than how I'm doing.
All right, that's fair. I guess in my town, it's just kind of getting sad. We go to the same bar. These guys are just getting fatter and drunker every time I look at them. Like their faces have that like drunk redness where like even their eyes are being swollen up by the sodium they've been drinking their whole entire life. Like everything's just catching up to them. It's kind of getting like a depressing scene, truthfully.
What's that? Because Farmingdale, that's a big happy hour spot. You have the meatball place there?
Meatball place.
And no, what's the Croxley's? That's what I'm thinking of.
And then you also have the Nutty Irishman. Dark Horse is a big one.
That's a relatively new one.
Yeah, but that's where people really flock to over there.
Right.
But because you kind of can get away with anything over there. I noticed that most people go over there. Croxley's, I think a lot of, like that's where people kind of like end the night or like other people come in. But I know a kid from my town who someone cracked a glass, like one of those the craft beer glasses, like they come in a mug.
I know what you're saying.
And he cracked it.
Okay.
And then slit one of those kids I went to high school with throat with it. Yeah.
Really?
Wild. I know.
Farmingdale.
Yeah, Farmingdale.
Yeah.
He was an outsider. Oh, yeah,
what was he?
Guy was from Smithtown, piece of shit.
He drove from Smithtown to Farmingdale?
That's right. Probably took the train. I don't know.
That is trash. If you take the train from Smithtown to Farmingdale to go out, things aren't looking good.
I know. That's probably why he was upset and wanted to slit someone's throat, You come out there and then you meet a kid from Farmingdale. This is what I took the train for, and just get all upset. I could see it.
Farmingdale's a great spot. If you have like a good paying job, for anyone listening to this, if you have a good paying job but you're paying too much for healthcare, go to Farmingdale at night and meet just a good teacher.
You could find some good looking teachers out there. A lot of just
good teachers out there. Wife went up. You got cheap insurance. Pretty good.
That's actually, you really thought this through. I've left Long Island and Farmingdale I like going back. I like visiting friends here and there, but I can't even, I'm not that astute on Long Island as much as I should be.
What does that mean?
I don't like, I still need a GPS to get to Long Beach. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
Oh my God.
I never cared about it. Like everything, because I never got to experience anything. Everything was just in the cul-de-sac of Getty and Burger King. So that was just my existence the whole time.
Well, what else did you need? You got the cigarettes, you had the beer.
Exactly. You get a Whopper for $1 and then cigarettes for $5. Cigarettes for $5 back then. When I moved to $8,
golden age.
Oh yeah. We used to split a pack. It would be, even then we would like, that's still too much. And we used to go, then it became $8. It was $4, and then the $20 was for an 18, and then you split the 18. So all you needed for a good night out was $14.
Let me tell you something. You Farmingdale kids, you should run the whole Treasury, United States Treasury, because you'd have shit figured out.
There would have been no 2008 financial crisis if it wasn't for us. I promise you that.
I'll tell you what, there'd be a hell of a lot more Native American cigarette sellers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Now, how are you affording all this growing up? You have a job?
I had to start working when I was 14. I worked at Jones Beach, of course.
Really? Not what I thought you were going to say.
I worked at Jones Beach.
Toll booth?
Toll booth, but no, Field 4 parking lot. But I run the toll booth, and then I would just do maintenance around there, which was just like you picked up garbage, and then you kind of just sat in your car in the parking lot. Because we would hide our cars in the parking lot with everyone else's. Right. And we just turn the AC on and just sit in our car and chill and kill like 2 hours. And then they made me the foreman of Jones Beach.
Big responsibility.
Huge. I had to make sure that where the cones were set up. It was no more fucking nickel and diamond.
Were you doing this for like beach days, or were you doing this for like Jimmy Buffett concert?
Jimmy Buffett concerts. It was big money. Got a good overtime over there. And those were the worst people in the world, man. Jimmy Buffett people were the disgusting.
People don't get Jimmy Buffett people. Long Island Jimmy Buffett people are the worst.
Yeah, it was pretty hacked. People would flash you, but it would be no one you want to see. It would just be an old woman, and you'd be like, oh, And it was like those sunburnt tits where like it kind of like it drooped like a salami, and it was and like everything was bumpy from whatever like I think you had sun poisoning. It was kind of gross, and they always thought they were doing us a favor, like, hey, you like that, boy? I'm like, not at all. It's kind of pretty gross. I don't know why they have a southern accent and they're a Long Island their whole life,
but it does fit.
It develops.
She'd be losing a tit, and you're like, oh my God, what happened? Breast cancer? She's like, no, diabetes.
Yeah,
you're like, how'd you lose a tit from diabetes?
Yeah, exactly. Because then fucking nipples were toes at that point, but But yeah, it was. They were just the worst. But I'll tell you, cleaning up. Then they would have Latino nights on Sundays.
Oh boy!
And Monday mornings, I would have to come in at 5 a.m. to clean up from Latino nights. And anybody you speak to from Jones Beach from 2005 to 2016 will tell you Latino nights were the worst, because every morning you'd pick up heroin needles and diapers. That's all you saw everywhere.
I was going to say, I thought there were just going to be babies laying around.
There was a fetus on the beach one time, too.
No way. Was there?
I swear to God, some girl...
Latino night.
No, this was just a Tuesday. It was just Tuesday in July. Someone, I guess, either had a miscarriage or an abortion, but they never went to any of the medical facilities around there. So we don't know what the case was, but they put it in a cup. Enough where they were self-aware enough to put it in a cup and then try to bury it up, but somebody caught them for whatever reason, and then they called them and they pulled it out, and there was just a feed. I remember seeing the guy.
Was it a Solo cup?
It was a Dixie.
It was a Dixie cup? Who's carrying around Dixie cups? She knew she was going to fucking leave a fetus on the beach.
I know.
That's Casey Anthony. That's white trash Casey Anthony.
And I'll never forget. You gotta imagine that thing was like covered in sand too. And
yeah, you know, Nick, that's what a fetus on the
just
beach.
Shell. But I'll never forget the guy's face. His name was L, and him walking after seeing that, it was just like I've never like you would think he just watched his mother pass away. Like his face just was so drawn. And I was like, you don't have to report to that. They said medics. You know, you're maintenance. You do the garbage. You didn't have to go and do that. And he went over there and checked it out. And he was just like, he was all fucked up from it. That was the closest we had to a baby, I guess. The closest she did too, but.
What?
I know, wild.
And that's a union job also, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's not a union job. It was a state job.
State jobs aren't union jobs?
No, not this one. Because what you wanted to get into was Tobay. Tobay Beach was a good beach because you got more money and you only had to work 4 days a week. We had to work.
Yeah, that's the beach I went to.
What's up?
Yeah, that's town of Oyster Bay Beach.
Yeah, and it was a way nicer beach, obviously. Yeah. Way hotter girls would go there. We would get the remnants of people from the city driving all the way out to go to fucking Jones Beach.
Those were people that were slightly above Coney Island, and that's it.
Yes, exactly.
They saved up for bus fare to not go to Coney Island.
And you knew, too, because some people tell you, it's like because you'd have to turn them around because we wouldn't. This was so dumb. You couldn't sell tickets because they have to pay their employees more money, so they'd have to go through the booths on Ocean Parkway to get tickets.
Okay.
And so when they come up to the ticket booth, they're like, how much? I'm like, you actually got to drive around and get a ticket over there. And they're like, yeah, all right. And they just drive away. And I'm like, what am I going to do, report you? They're like, you have to write down the license plate number and then hand it to the police officer. Like, I'm not doing all that, dude. It's just, they got me.
Right, they win.
Exactly. There's no security anywhere. And I like some people, the people that would, I'd be surprised. I was surprised.
But the workers that would report.
The people that would actually turn around. Well, no worker.
Oh, yeah,
no work report.
No one would report.
No. Dude, I was only making $7.50 an hour, and I had to work 40 hours a week for $7.50.
Oh, what?
I know, it was brutal. But I would make enough money where I wouldn't really be spending much because all I was doing was just, $14. That's all I needed. So I would save up all that money, and I would work throughout the summer. I'd work 40 hours a week throughout the summer, and then just save that money and like pick up many, stupid little jobs here and there throughout the winter. And then I got a job at Subway when I was in high school.
How did I not know this?
Oh yeah, I worked.
You got a job at Subway?
My cousin worked there for years, and then he got me a job over there, and it fucking sucked. I mean, it was cool when our boss would leave, but he would like micromanage the shit out of us. It would be so. It's not how you cut bread. I was like, all right, bro, why don't you come over here? And they just cut it the same way I did. I was like, wow, thank you. You really opened my eyes over here.
That's the difference between South Shore and North Shore Long Island is that your cousin got you into Subway, and he's like, our cousins get us into JP Morgan. That's the difference right there.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Oh, God. But I left that job because I was cutting cucumbers, and my hand, you can still see a scar right here. Right on my thumb.
What a pussy.
And I cut the whole thing off.
The whole thumb?
Like from where this nail ends right here all the way up.
Folks, I could see it.
Yeah. There's like a little thing right there. And it regrew. Not the best, but it did. But I had to leave, and I was going to give him my 2 weeks that day. And then I go to the doctor, and they say, yeah, you need it's going to like take at least 2 weeks to heal. So I go to my boss. I'm like, yeah, the doctor says I need 2 weeks off. By the way, I'm giving you my 2 weeks notice right now. And I dropped the ball.
Did you?
Swear to God. And I was like, it's been nice working for you, Bill. And I just walked out.
Bill.
Indian
guy named Bill?
We used to get drunk and prank call him. When we were like young, we would just call him up. And I remember my cousin would because he was from India, and he would put on an accent. By the way, this guy's an idiot. It'd be like 11 p.m. on a Friday. And he would just go, this is the Office of Immigration. We are contacting you about your certain visa. We are worried that it may not whatever kind of qualify for the current standings. Press 2 for more information. And you just hear, doo, on the other end. And we had to hang up because we lost it because he fell for it. Like, no one could keep, because we didn't think he'd fall for it. And then when he did, we all just hung up and started belly laughing. The guy was a moron, the worst.
I wouldn't even think to use the immigration hotline voice and... at that age, I wouldn't even think of it. Oh, that's genius. That's the next level prank call.
I know. That's why I knew I was ready for comedy. I was just like, it was my idea. I schemed it all up. Let's get it going. But yeah, those are some good times. Sometimes.
And then you went. I can't believe you worked at Subway. I can't believe I didn't know you worked at Subway.
Worked at Men's Warehouse too.
No.
Worked at Men's Warehouse.
The one by Adventureland?
No, this was the one on Carmen's Road, by the Sports Authority. In that shopping center, Sports Authority.
I didn't even know there was a Men's Warehouse there.
Yeah, behind Sunrise Mall.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know where Sports Authority was. Yeah. That, wow.
I worked as a tuxedo consultant, and I'm colorblind.
Well, good thing, black and white.
That's it.
They couldn't put you on the suits.
They wanted to. And
they can't.
They couldn't. I was just like, yeah. What I would do is I'd memorize where the colors were because they put all the ties in certain areas. So I'd be like, all right, I know the blues are in this thing right here. And I would just go by the design, and I'd be like, all right, this kind of matches with the design, blah, blah, blah. But one time they switched it, and so I would just start putting purples with blue shirts.
Nick, I used to get suits at Men's Warehouse. You can't just be doing this.
People would lose their minds too, man.
Oh, my God, especially, So it seems like at Men's Warehouse, what they do is the white kids work the tuxedos, and then the middle-aged black guys sell the regular suits.
You're absolutely right. There's this guy Isaac, and one of the best dudes ever. He kind of dressed like a jazz musician, and I know
everyone there dresses like a jazz musician,
but he just especially looked like it because he had he kind of looked like the guy from Soul. Like when he wore his suit, I swear to God, and I remember he always loved fucking with white people, but me and him had like a good kinship, and so he'd be selling suits, and I'd be just like kind of walking around, like, you know, you also as a tuxedo consultant you have to do other shit because no one's really coming to tuxedos.
No one's rented a tux from Men's Warehouse.
No, well, a lot of wedding venues did, and I was just surprised. I was like, listen, there's other
venues
places.
would rent it.
I mean, not wedding venues, wedding parties would come.
Oh yeah.
But because you know why, David's Bridal was right next door, so they would coincide, and they'd be like, oh, well, why don't you go to Men's Warehouse?
Yeah, that's the one that looking to save a buck on a wedding.
I know. Well, after the amount they spent at David's Bridal, they're like, oh, fuck it, let's get a men's tuxedo, fucking Men's Warehouse tuxedo. But he would always bust. He used to talk so much shit in front of like the customers over here, and like, so I'd be walking by, and the customer would be right where you are. I'd be walking by, and he'd just grab me and act like he's asking me for something. He goes, we got a stupid dumb motherfucker right here gonna buy this suit. Do you mind just going in the back? And then he'd go smiling, like, look at him. He thinks I'm smiling at him, fucking idiot. And he'd just walk away from me. And then sometimes when the guy he'd be bringing him up, and he knew, like, he'd say these things, like, he'd just start putting ski at the end of words, so people would confuse people. So, like, he'd be typing them into the computer. They're staying literally inches away from him. And he goes, we got a dumbski over here. And that's all it took.
And he says it out in public.
Out in public. Dumbski. What would you like to do? Yeah, it's stupid. And then he'd bend over and like tie his shoe or something like, retardski. And like nobody knew what that meant.
Retardski doesn't even sound good.
It doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good at all. But to them, they think they're shouting out like we need suit numbers. Like there's a retardski numbered size, you know? But yeah, that wasn't a bad gig either. But then once summer came, I was like, I'd rather go back to Jones Beach, chill in my car.
Let me ask you, this is a Men's Warehouse specific question. I would go to Men's Warehouse, I get a suit, didn't fit well. Yeah. Never fit well. Yeah. I would get them to tailor it. I'd come back, it was somehow bigger. I have no idea how.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this. I mean, the suits I got there always fit the size because I was really good with the tailors over there, so they would always just hook me up. But that was the big scheme, was they'd have you buy the suit, and it would obviously never fit. Never fit. And then, so the suit would seem cheap, but what you're really paying for is the tailoring of it. And they would charge the fuck out of it. Because they'll show you a nice-ass suit, and, oh, well, you wanted to fit a certain way. And most people absolutely did, and it was like a nice suit. And to cut it back up, it would cost hundreds of dollars to put into place. And that was the scheme going on over there. So that's kind of like... Yeah, they make their bread and butter, truthfully.
And they were smart with their hiring because they only hired Eastern Europeans.
Yes, and they were aggressive, and you don't want to say no to them, you know. So they were smart, yeah.
And they would put the pin a little too close to your skin.
Yeah,
a little too close. It made me.
There was this woman, I think her name was Ashna.
Sounds about right.
And every time she would pin somebody, she would go, fucking pussy. It's just fucking pussy, just like that, just fucking pussy.
Yeah, she didn't grow up with heat.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
she still
give
doesn't.
A fuck.
She lives there. You know, it was I don't know. It was a weird. If I can think back to it, it feels like centuries ago I even did that. But yeah, now look at me.
And now look at you, cleaning blood.
Cleaning blood.
And vaccinated.
Completely vaccinated.
How you feeling?
I feel fine. Completely fine. Even the only thing I hurt was the arm sore was way severe than other vaccines.
My sister just said the same thing.
Yeah. Besides that, I got like a little small migraine, and like I just felt feverish that night. But when I woke up the next morning, I was fine.
Did you? What was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. Everyone got it? Were there people that didn't get it?
Yeah, there's a small group of people who just like, fuck that. I ain't gonna, I'm trying to die. I'm just like, dude, they're not gonna kill the whole medical community for this. You understand?
Right. Were there doctors that didn't get it?
No doctor.
No doctor.
No. The doctor's trying to convince our staff members to get it because they're stuck on QAnon and whatever fucking Tyga said about it, and that's who they're basing it off.
Tyga's making statements on
one
COVID?
of the rappers I remember saw on World Star said, "All right, you can't force me to take that shit. It's too soon." And they're like, "Yeah, it's word up." And everyone's and even and they'll say it to doctors as if they're not doctors. You know, like you're not talking to people at Penn Station, bro. These are medical professionals, you know?
Right.
These are surgeons on our floor. And I can just see the surgeons just go, there's absolutely no sense and there's no way I'm going to...
You can't even argue with these people.
No, so you go, you do what you feel. And it's just, then they just go idiot in their head. Check, you know?
Well, let me tell you something. The surgeons never really respected those people to begin with.
Not at all. And the thing is, too, a lot of those guys... you could tell how much this is of like a job this has become for people, just as anything else, as if it was
like
stocking
arguing
shelves. What's up?
Arguing, you're saying?
No. Well, I mean, how surgeons even take onto the job. You know what I mean? Like to them, it's like being a mechanic. You know, they don't.
Oh, in the operating room, you're saying?
Yeah. They're just because we deal with them because that's the floor that we work on. So we're mostly seeing surgeons. And we had this guy. This guy came in for a gastric bypass surgery. The doctor cut an artery too close to his spleen. The guy bled out, and the first thing this guy shouts out loud, it goes, "Ugh, the fucking universe is against me today." And I'm like, "Against you, bro?"
We got a guy bleeding.
I know.
You were like, "Against me? I got to clean the blood."
I know, exactly. And he goes against you, and they had to remove this guy's spleen, and now he's at risk because of removing of his spleen during COVID, during the pandemic, and the surgeon. I know. And I was telling my friends, I was like, well, the good news is you lost 5 pounds already. You know, the surgery's a success. But that's how they look at it. It's just fucking one other day. And some of the surgeons even smoke cigarettes. They don't even give a shit either.
They don't give a fuck.
Nothing. It doesn't. And sometimes I got to watch my mouth because I'm so sarcastic at my job. It's becoming like a real problem. Like, I just don't know how. Because I just like to fuck around, but I forget where I'm at. And
they already hate you, I believe.
Yeah, they don't. On our floor, they do like us because we've grown. Like there is a relationship when you see these people every day. But anyone else, they're this close, just pulling you on your shirt and be like, "Hey, clean this up." Like I'm a toddler. Like they look down at you severely. I know what it's like to be a minority now.
You heard it here first.
I do.
You heard it here first from Nick Tilleli.
I empathize. It's true because that's literally. I'm like one of the only white guys that works in building service too. So
okay, let's relax with building services. All right,
as a janitor.
Thank you. It's a custodial engineer.
And it's funny because I call it that at work because they all say building service, and now outside I'm like I'm building service, but it's true. I'm just a fucking janitor. But
do you wear scrubs?
Yeah, we're scrubs.
That's nice.
Yeah,
because you could go out to lunch. Not really anymore, but you could go out to lunch, trick a girl.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean you still sound and look like you, which is a problem.
Well, it's funny because they don't know that. They think that I'm like, wow, I'm almost like
you made it out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, this guy he's cultured. He must have a little bit of a background. Yeah.
When I worked at MSK, I got a white coat which had my name embroidered, and it said Richard Happel, MS. For Masters of Science.
Yeah.
But if you look close, it says
like
MD.
Yeah.
So I had people like, oh, I'm sorry, doctor. I would go through the lunchroom. I wasn't even hungry. I just go from like soup and a salad. Just walk through quick. And people are like, oh, yeah, I'll give you the discount, the physician discount. And I said, thank you.
I went to a laundromat and I was putting my clothes away, and the owner of the laundromat saw my scrubs, and she goes, let me finish that for you, hero. I'm like,
called you a hero?
Called me a hero. And I'm like, absolutely. I was like, please finish my laundry. Yep, no problem.
Please do your job.
I know, exactly. I had enough cleaning today, you know.
Now let me ask you this, because I think you would have a fun opinion on this. You might even have a bit. I haven't seen you go up in a few months.
Oh, shoot.
Are nurses heroes?
Well, since when do heroes leave tampons in the sink, Rich? That's what I want to know. I remember that scene in Wonder Woman.
Because you, at the beginning of COVID, you told me a whole story about how you and the nurses were battling over supplies.
Yeah, there was a lack of supplies everywhere, and so we wouldn't get the N95s. They would go to nurses first, which to a degree I understand that because they're actually going into the rooms while the patients are there. We're waiting until they're gone to clean up the room. So that made sense to me. But then they want to turnover time being quickly. And so what you were supposed to do is they have like certain hospital rooms, when you close the door, they have an air purifier Like it's a decompression tank within itself that kind of like sucks out everything. But you're supposed to wait over an hour for it to actually be complete. I'm sure it's a half hour, but to be safe, they do it for an hour.
Makes sense.
But now they want these rooms turned over in 5 minutes, and it's like, well, now this place is riddled with COVID, and you want to send me in there. And I remember I went to one of the people. And again, this was like in the very beginning, so it was just chaotic for everybody. Like we
didn't even know what it was.
I didn't even know what was going on.
Right.
They just knew the N95 was necessary, and they gave me the room, and I'm like, you guys have an N95 mask for me? Oh, I didn't know building service got N95 masks. I'm like, well, would you go in there with it? Oh, no. I was like, I guess this is the end of the conversation, I guess. Like, but I at first I'm like, fuck you, this is bullshit. But then I'm just like, it was just so chaotic that like, all right, you know, you have a slip up. It's probably some nurse, because they were just pulling people from nurses school who just graduated.
And just
like,
throwing them in.
Go. We need people. But, you know, a lot of people, no one really had sympathy for us at the time. Like, everyone was just kind of shitting, like, you know, they don't have a lot of PPE. They're going in there with garbage bags. I'm the janitor. I'm like, yeah, who the fuck do you think gave it to them?
Yeah, and you're taking my garbage bags.
That's what I'm saying. On top of everything else.
I need the garbage bags.
Exactly. But yeah, so it became like that, and there was like but I just think everyone was scared, and they were just protecting, like, you know, you start going into like a little tribe and groups and who you're around every day. That's just what it is. But don't get me wrong, there's plenty of nurses at the same time who were just like had our back and would want us to get like all the shit and be like, fuck this nurse, I know how she's gonna behave because she wants to turn over time and be quicker.
Right.
Be safe about it. So there's enough, but like in the beginning I was just so like, fucking, I was a rabid dog. I was, this is bullshit already, and then I got to take this from you on top of everything else. Let's just get the fuck out of here.
Plus, you're the white guy. You're representing everyone else. You have to speak for everyone because the rest of them don't know how to speak.
Well, that's funny you say that because that's how kind of it went.
Yeah,
you know, that just really was. I would be the representative of minorities. They would come to me too because they didn't. So there's a lot of like, you know, there's I would say it's a class thing, but also it's because most of them probably don't even speak English, or they just assume that they don't speak English.
Right.
But they would. People who've been working there longer than me, they would come to me to discuss things with them, and I'd be just like a mediator. I'd be, you know, I was like the, I don't know, I guess the consigliere to the white people. You know, they would just go through me.
You were the bridge.
Oh, the bridge.
Yeah, between the everyone and
I know, and white people.
And white people.
But
how's your Spanish been because of this job? You improved your Spanish?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I do. It's chaos. I just can't grasp it. I mean, I guarantee if I sat down and dedicated time to it, I'd probably pick it up.
Of course.
But just, you know, I have no interest. It's like, listen, I'll take the broken English from you guys. But I guarantee, I could tell the way they speak Spanish. I'm like, my life would be easier if I learned it.
Yeah, 100%.
But it'd be harder if I tried, so I didn't want to.
By the time you learn Spanish, you're going to sell at Madison Square Garden.
Wow. That was, you know what, man? Look at this. Two compliments in a row.
You're taking a lot of these as compliments.
I know.
I'm just telling you straight facts.
You know what? That's how I decided to see the world these days, Rich.
Okay, right now you're doing fucking McCarran Park on Tuesday. So let's work our way into indoors.
All right, fair enough.
And then we'll make our way past.
I don't know if there's going to be a Madison Square Garden after this. I'm starting to become very skeptical of when things open up, if there's going to be the same.
I think there'll be a Madison Square Garden. Will there be comedy clubs? And that's another story.
I know. What do you predict? How do you feel like?
I don't see how they could afford. I think Cellar will be fine. I think Comic Strip will be fine just because even if they do go under, it's too big of a space to lease out. They'll like find someone else, and Seinfeld will just pay for it.
Well, I mean, do you think that more comics should pick up that model that Joe Rogan has of just opening up their club like Seinfeld?
I don't think a New York comic would bother.
Yeah.
I don't think. Or maybe like you'll see some of the top comics pool money to do the Cellar if they need money. Yeah. Like no one's helping Stand Up New York. No one's helping.
Yeah, no, those clubs I don't see happening, but I don't know. Maybe some kind of space. I don't know. It's who wants to take the responsibility is the first thing too.
It's a nightmare. It's just operationally to own a comedy club. It's just like,
yeah,
I'll just go to a room.
Well, that's the thing about New York. You know, I mean, you could just go to a room. Like, that's just how simple it is. And it was just kind of, if one thing that COVID showed is how unnecessary comedy clubs are, because look where we're doing everything.
I think it's all going to be independent producing from here on out.
I think that's what's going to happen too. I think, but here's the thing. Most of these shows that are going on now, they're produced by comics, right? And so, I mean, if I was a club, I'd be smart. Like, this is me, like, if I owned a business like that, and I'd, like, be in tune of what, like, park shows are good, who's actually producing, who's flipping them over, and then when things open up, pull them aside, be like, hey, you have a spot in my place, make sure you produce to bring back people to the indoors.
I mean, they were doing that before this. Everyone was producing shows.
Yeah.
75% of shows in Manhattan are produced. I don't think
Yeah.
people realize that. So, like, I'm just going to go to Stone Street and get a room. I was already going to get the room before COVID.
Yeah.
And just do that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, the thing is what? Like, you want to be able to rub shoulders with comedians that, like, could potentially help you, or maybe even people in the industry because they're at comedy clubs. But, like, you know, people are writing up all these park shows all the time, too. You're getting just as much coverage, you know? And, like, the social media changed the game as well.
Right.
So it's a whole new platform that I don't even know how much I'm even prepared for. Like, I don't even know, well, like, you're doing the podcast. That's cool. I'm not a big social media guy rather than posting my stand-up. And then, like, if anyone asks me to be in a skit, I'll just be like, fuck it. But I don't really have, like, this is how I want to produce to the people rather than just doing stand-up. You know, this is what I want to present to people.
Right. I mean, you got to figure out.
I know.
Do this. Do a fucking, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like this. This is fun. This is for people like us who could just talk and be funny.
Yeah,
Most
I agree.
people can't do this.
I agree. Most people, trust me, I know most people can't.
That's why they're in the fucking parks.
But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of sketchy because there is no, you know, I guess there's no answer, no path anymore. But how much was there before? I think it was always coming to this. COVID made it happen sooner.
We were fool. I mean, now we're talking straight comedy, but we were foolish for thinking clubs were going to help us. Nothing was more evident than when Stand Up New York told me twice that they're not going to book me because I'm a straight white guy and it doesn't look good.
Oh, they said that to you?
I'll tell you exactly who off mic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because producers would say that to me about, like, after Mike, they would just come up to me and be like, I'd book you for my show, but I already have a white guy. And I'd be like, why are you even saying that? And to me, number one, if you're not booking me. And number two, was every white guy the same then? You know what I mean? But that's wild that a club did that. But in my head, it wasn't even about helping. I wanted to get in the club just to get in front of more audience. That's all I give a fuck about.
Right.
That was my whole. That's been my whole thing. You know.
And now we're going to have to produce it ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I don't think will be hard.
I don't think it'd be hard. I don't like producing shows though.
Neither do I.
I kind of just like doing the word of mouth thing. Like, you do well here, someone else is like, hey, you want to do this, blah blah blah, which is cool too. But
Yeah. How well has that worked out for us, Nick?
I've been booked a lot this summer because everyone's been staying indoors. I've been out there.
All it took for me to get booked more was no one to do this.
Everyone said no, and I'm like, I'll show up. I don't need a mask. It's all good.
That's right. You're like,
need
I'm
a
going to
mic,
get
fuck it.
vaccinated eventually. I'm covered in blood.
And I was the first one vaccinated. That's another reason why I did it. I'm like, well, I'm going to be the only comic vaccinated. I'm sure it's going to matter to a point where I want to, even go see Jeff. I'm sure getting on a plane, you're going to need to have a card with you at some point. So I got to hit up it. Fuck it.
We'll
got
see.
the opportunity. It was free.
Yeah, that's it. I do an hour.
You do an hour? How long has it been? I felt like
Hour 6.
wow, that was quick. Not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Nick, where can the people find you?
At Nick Tilleli. I'm sure you'll tag me and
I'll tag you.
NickTilleli.
Yeah. Or go to any union meeting.
Any union meeting?
Or park.
$11.99.
I didn't even know that was a union.
Yep.
Nick, thanks for doing it, bud.
Dude,
Yeah.
thanks for having me.
This was fun as fuck.
Yeah, this is great.
Peace, bitches.